how do you explain to somebody that a bookkeeper is not enough?
Because a bookkeeper is not strategic. A bookkeeper is telling you transactionally what's happened, and then where you stand, where your cash stands, where your receivable stands, your income. Gathers the information so that you can get your taxes done, hopefully, in a very quick fashion. But they're not helping you to build your business. And so what I do is helping you to look at your business. How can you scale it? How can you make it better? How can you start having KPIs? How can you start having goals and objectives that you start moving your business toward?
Yeah, it's the thought leadership piece. You provide the thought leadership that a bookkeeper never would.
Yes.
Yeah. See, my explanation is that a bookkeeper is like building a bridge 90% of the way across the river.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, I tell people that if you don't have a good bookkeeper, it's garbage in, garbage out. You got to have good data. So, that's more than half the battle. So.
And somebody's got to lead the process who understands it so that the bookkeeper will do it right.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, so I do stand as a resource to my clients' bookkeepers too. They have questions and, they need a little bit of help with something, I can certainly be there for them. So, I'm there to help them grow as well. So,
concept should apply to a number of other, let's say, administrative elements of a business enterprise, where, let's say, the clerical work probably is a full-time job, but the leadership necessary to make the clerical situation work should not be a full-time job.
Right. Yeah, that is the leadership and the management elements are what is missing from a lot of companies. That's true. They don't know how to do it. They don't know where to do it. They don't know where to start. And that's what I have. I mean, I even consider myself sometimes like as a therapist. When people are having a bad day, they share a lot of, it's kind of interesting. I'm there for them. And also like a business coach, except for I'm not giving them, things to do, homework, and I'm not making them accountable. But we talk about that. And we talk about, possibility, the need to have a business coach for a short period of time. I don't think you should ever have one for a long period of time. But, because then, if you have all of that, it puts you in a place that you can then talk to someone like Greg and say, hey, here's where I think my business is going. What can you do for me as far as funding? And for Fred, the same kind of thing. Are there any VCs or, any angel investors, people that might be interested in my business? Or how can I change things? So then they have more time to do more strategic things for their company. They truly become that CEO of their business. There's no reason why they can't be. It's just a mindset change. And that's what I find people are stuck in. It's like, well, it's my business. I have to do everything. It's like, no. No, you don't. You have to let go. Yeah, you have to be uncomfortably comfortable with things. Yeah, but no, things don't always go well, but you'll survive.
Greg,
Sorry.
I'm curious for Greg. You're trying to get, let's say, business credit separated from individual credit. When should a banker demand a personal guarantee, even if the guy has a 900 credit score, let's say personally, and a whatever the highest ranking credit score that you can get him for business would be? When should a banker demand a personal guarantee anyway?
That's an interesting question, and I think probably a lot of banks would rather have the personal guarantee regardless, because it gives them additional kind of asset coverage. It doesn't have to be that way, though. That's that's kind of the I said the misnomer is that if a business builds it the right way, and it's got to be built on the corporate side, they don't need to have personal guarantees, and there's a lot of funding available, a lot of good, better terms, rates, and volume of capital available on the corporate side than they could ever get with personal guarantees on the personal side. So it's just it's just not something that's been probably a well-educated practice of business on how to do that. So, but no different than just to pick a controversial name, no different than Trump building a casino down in Atlantic City and doing it all on corporate credit, where he has no personal risk there, having gone bankrupt a couple times. That's the difference. I mean, the bankers are still going to go after the corporate assets if somebody's upside down, but there's no reason that a personal business owner should have their own assets at risk.
Why would a banker demand personal guarantee anyway?
Well, I guess it's the amount of risk. It's the element of the risk that they perceive the business as.
What creates the risk?
Well, the lot of depending on the request, if some of the other things related to the business don't support the amount of credit being requested, they'll ask for personal guarantees, but within certain parameters, there's plenty of credit available. But there's a lot of lenders out there, if the corporate credit profile is strong enough, that don't ask for personal guarantees.
A dumb lender falls into the category of a fool and his money are soon parted. Realistically, why should a banker in a small business environment, I'm saying less than 10 million sales, demand a personal guarantee?
I couldn't answer that question for you.
Again, that's a strategic plan, perspective from that particular lender. It's like what is their element of risk is. If it's lower, the smaller people, there's going to be more risk. If it's a bigger company that's been around a while, less risk. I think it's very
bigger or smaller. Okay, Greg, here's what I suggest to you. If the owner of the business and the business have all of their accounts in the same bank, and there is, let's say, reasonable evidence that there is transfer of money from the company to the owner in some fashion other than salary, I would demand a personal guarantee, because that means that the business owner can take whatever amount of money he wants out of that business and at a moment's notice. That's what creates the risk.
Oh, but that's like, if I know a lot of folks that I chat with, business owners I chat with, build a corporate entity to shelter their personal assets from business risk. But as soon as somebody does, my understanding does what you were describing, they've already pierced that corporate veil, and they've already put it's already at risk. But if they don't do that, if their manner of operation keeps them separate, it's a different risk profile than if what you described. With what you described, somebody's already pierced that veil.
I would suggest to you about 80% of the small businesses run the way I'm suggesting that they do, and that is personal accounts, business accounts are in the same bank, and there is a flow of money back and forth, which easily could protect the banker, could protect the owner from corporate veil piercing. Mechanics are done properly. On the other hand, from the risk point of view, can have his assets, his collateral assets looted before he ever figures it out. And so the safe thing to do from the banker's point of view is say, I know what you can do, even though you probably won't. I'm going to demand a personal guarantee. And if you keep your promises, the personal guarantee is a moot point.
Right. Yep, I understand. Good point.
But then do you think most small business owners understand all of this?
My experience
More than you
is
think.
they don't.
Right,
Most don't.
right. So then that leads it to us, to, people like ourselves, to make sure that these people understand when they make these kind of decisions, what that impact is ultimately.
Yeah, it's an education process for sure.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
That's one of the reasons why I suggest to bankers that before you lend a lot of money to somebody you don't know, interview the people he hires for accounting work. And look for a characteristic that you hope you don't find. You want to
Like they
look
have lots of tools on.
from a banker's point of view, look for yes people in the accounting department. People who will do whatever the owner tells them to do without any question. That's trouble looking for a place to happen.
Yep, that's true.
And they're all over the place.
They're everywhere.